You're sitting alone. The last message she sent was 2 days ago. No response since. You replay the last moment you were with her, how she smiled a little longer, leaned in a little closer. You felt it. You knew she cared. So why is she now silent? Your mind says she's losing interest, but your gut, it's screaming something deeper. What if I told you her silence is not rejection, but a test? What if her distance isn't punishment, but a signal? And what if your reaction right now will either destroy her attraction or make it unshakable? Comment below, I rise, not chase. That phrase will anchor your mindset for the rest of this journey. This video is for those who've ever asked, why is she ignoring me if she said she cared? You're about to learn why women withdraw when they love you and exactly what you must do, not for manipulation, but for mastery of self, presence, and attraction. And if this message hits deep, support this channel. Not for me, but for the next man sitting in that same silence, wondering if she loves him or not. Number 1. She feels you even when silent. While you're obsessing over her lack of response, wondering if you said something wrong, replaying every moment like a movie on repeat, she's in her own world, feeling, watching, sensing. You think she's gone cold. You assume she's losing interest. But what you don't see is that her silence is speaking louder than her words ever could. A woman doesn't just disconnect randomly. She feels everything, your energy shift, your insecurity growing, your neediness creeping in beneath your words. And when that shift happens, when you start depending on her validation to feel strong, she instinctively pulls back. Not to hurt you, not to manipulate you. This is where most men break. They panic, they react, they text back faster, call more, post to get her attention. They let the fear drive their next move. But the truth is, every time you act from fear, you prove to her that you're not who she hoped you'd be. She's not ignoring you because she hates you. She's seeing if the strength she thought she saw in you was real, or just performance. She wants to know if you crumble when she retreats. She wants to feel if your energy remains steady when hers withdraws. That moment of silence isn't just silence. It's the battlefield of attraction. And the man who survives that battlefield isn't the one who fights for her attention. It's the one who doesn't need it. She feels when you're grounded. She feels when you're unbothered. And most importantly, she feels when you're trying too hard to keep her close because you're afraid of losing her. Attraction isn't built in comfort. It's built in tension, in the unknown, in the test. So what do you do when she pulls away? You stop chasing. You stop asking why. You stop replaying conversations. Instead, you start building your power. You hit the gym. You tighten your schedule. You master your time. You double down on your mission. Because women are not drawn to your words. They're drawn to your gravitational pull. The quieter you become, the louder your energy speaks. When she withdraws, let her. When she ignores you, hold the line. When she doesn't validate you, validate yourself. Because the minute she sees that your peace doesn't depend on her presence, her curiosity will ignite. That's how nature works. What runs away becomes desirable. What clings becomes repelling. Every time you prove that you can stand still when she moves, you're becoming the man she thought you were at the beginning. The man who had purpose beyond her. The man who had peace within chaos. The man who didn't need her love to love himself. So how do you pass this test? Start with your presence. Kill the urge to text. Replace it with action. Go so deep into your life that her absence feels like silence, not loss. Show her, not through messages, but through your indifference, that you are the type of man who attracts, not chases. That you don't panic, you pivot. That you don't beg, you build. Because while she's trying to feel you in your silence, what she's really hoping for is proof that you are unshakable, not just in your confidence, but in your soul. Speak less, move with intention. Let your absence echo louder than your neediness ever could. You are not losing her. You are being watched by her emotional radar, and every move you make right now will either tell her you are just like the rest, or unlike any man she's ever met. Now ask yourself, are you the man who needs her to respond to feel worthy? Or are you the man who becomes so powerful in her silence, she starts to wonder what she lost by pulling away? Number 2, you must be the wall, not the wind. While she's pulling away, watching silently from a distance, what she's really doing is measuring your gravity, not your words, not your effort, your stability. The second she senses you slipping into reaction mode, you start to unravel the attraction she was once curious about. If she sends one-word replies and you start over-texting to get a reaction, you lose. If she gets distant and you flood her with concern and validation, you lose. If she tests your boundaries and you backpedal to stay liked, you lose. Not because she wants to destroy you, but because she wants to see what you're made of when she steps back. A man who needs her constant attention to feel valuable is not a man she can feel safe around. A man who becomes emotionally erratic when she doesn't respond is a man she cannot emotionally trust. She needs to know that if the storm hits, your feet are still on the ground. That when she spirals, you stand tall. That when she tests, you don't flinch. Being the wall isn't about being cold. It's about being composed, not robotic, but rooted, unshakable, unmoved by the temporary chaos around you. Women are emotional by nature, not because they're weak, but because they feel deeply, intensely, quickly, but they will never surrender to a man who collapses the moment her emotions change. When she says, "I need space," she's not asking for a reaction, she's watching for one. Do you crumble and beg, or do you respect the space and double down on your purpose? When she's cold and withdrawn, do you start proving yourself, or do you stay present, grounded, and centered in your truth? The wall isn't built by ignoring her. It's built by not being controlled by her emotions. That's the core. When her emotional ocean tries to crash against your peace, do you hold the shoreline or do you drown in it? You need to understand. Emotional self-control is power, the ability to pause before reacting, to breathe instead of panicking, to observe instead of obsessing. That's what separates boys from men. That's what makes her feel safe. Not comfort safe, but soul safe. The kind of safety that makes her want to let go of control and rest in your presence. So what do? You stop asking her to regulate your feelings. You stop making her the center of your emotional world. You stop giving away your power just to stay in her good graces. Instead, you build your mission so strong that her silence becomes background noise. You build your life so meaningful that her moods don't disrupt your momentum. You train your mind so deeply that you don't react. You respond with clarity and composure. She doesn't want you to be indifferent. She wants you to be inevitable. She wants your presence to speak louder than your pleas. She wants your silence to feel like thunder, not retreat. And if you become that man, the wall, the unshakable one, then no matter how chaotic her storm gets, she will always come back to you. Not because you chased, not because you proved anything, but because you showed her, without a single word, that you are the kind of man no storm can move. And in a world full of emotional winds and unstable ground, that kind of presence is rare and unforgettable. Ask yourself this: do you react every time she shifts? Or do you anchor yourself so deeply that her tests don't trigger fear, but reveal your strength? Be the wall. She doesn't want to shake you. She wants to see if you can't be shaken. Number 3. Her chaos needs your calm. While her emotions may come in waves, unexpected, overwhelming, unfiltered, your role is not to become another storm. Your role is to become her anchor. Her chaos doesn't need correction, it needs containment. Not with force, not with control, but with presence, real presence. The kind of presence that doesn't ask her to explain, doesn't fear the fire, but absorbs it without flinching. You want her to respect you? Then stop reacting to her storms. Stop trying to fix her mood. Stop treating every emotional wave like a personal attack. The moment she senses that her feelings can dismantle you, she loses trust, not in you, but in your ability to hold space for what's real. She needs to feel something stronger than her emotional pull, and that's not your logic, it's not your words, it's your unbothered stillness. Most people think strength is aggression. It's not. Real strength is restraint. Real strength is knowing when not to speak, when not to text, when not to explain yourself just because she's distant. When she's spiraling, the weak man tries to convince her out of it. The strong man listens, not to respond, but to observe, not to correct her, but to contain her, because he understands the chaos is not about him, it's about her needing to feel something solid. Her chaos is a test. Her silence is a test. Her attitude is a test. Not because she's playing games, but because she needs to know, if I break down, will you break with me? If I withdraw, will you chase like a child, or wait like a man? Your calm isn't just for you. It's the ground she walks on emotionally. When that ground shakes, she questions everything. So how do you stay calm? You discipline your reactions. You practice emotional patience. You shift from needing control to offering clarity. You stop trying to prove you're worthy and start embodying it. She's not asking for perfection. She's asking for presence. She's not looking for answers. She's searching for energy. Energy that doesn't shift with hers. Energy that doesn't panic when it's not validated. That's the rare energy she's starving to feel in a world full of people who react to every trigger. So you want to be rare? Then act rare. Don't chase when she distances. Don't demand when she resists. Don't escalate when she explodes. Observe, breathe, redirect. Invest that energy into your growth, into your mission, into your body, your mind, your bank account, your circle. Because the more you respond with peace, the more she sees your true power. And not just her, you will feel it. You'll feel the strength of being the calm in someone else's storm, not by controlling her, but by mastering you. Ask yourself, do you escalate when she breaks down? Do you speak just to fix her feelings? Do you feel like a victim of her emotions? Or do you become the one person she can't shake? Because no matter how chaotic she gets, you stay calm, collected, and completely centered in who you are. Her chaos isn't your enemy. Her chaos is your invitation to rise. Number 4. Let her walk, but leave the door open. While she's backing away, pulling into herself, texting less, talking colder, you feel it. That punch in the gut. That silence that hits harder than any argument. And your instinct? To chase, to explain, to fix it. But the moment you run after her in desperation, you confirm the one thing she's hoping not to see, that your confidence was conditional on her approval, that your power wasn't real, it was a mask, held together by her attention. And once that mask slips, once she sees that the man she was drawn to can't stand on his own, everything changes. You were never supposed to trap her. You were supposed to be the kind of man who could let her go and still hold space for her to return. A woman doesn't need a man who clings. She needs a man who chooses her without needing her. So when she says she needs time, give it. When she says she's unsure, let her be. When she creates distance, hold yours with dignity, not as a tactic, as truth. The truth that your life doesn't pause when someone pulls away. The truth that your identity isn't tied to how she feels about you today. The truth that your worth doesn't decrease because she doesn't reply. You want to be irreplaceable, become unforgettable in your absence, while other men flood her inbox, suffocate her space, try to buy back what's fading. You do nothing but rise. You get sharper, you get stronger, you get deeper into your path, and your silence becomes a statement. I don't chase love, I attract it, but I never beg for it. Let her walk, not because you don't care, but because you care about yourself enough not to lose yourself chasing someone else's clarity. Let her walk, because it's in the space you create that her mind will start to wander back. She'll remember the way you didn't panic, the way you didn't fold, the way you didn't lower your value to win her presence. That memory will haunt her in all the right ways. That's when she starts to wonder if she left a man or a phase. And that difference is everything. You don't need to close the door. You just need to stop trying to keep her inside it. Leave it open, but let her walk. Because if what you had was real, if she truly felt your presence, she won't forget it. She might test it. She might run from it. But she will feel it, even in your absence. And that's what will draw her back. Not your words, not your gifts, not your effort. Your absence with dignity. That's the power of the man who doesn't chase. That's the gravity of the man who builds. That's the clarity of the man who can let her go, not to punish her, but to protect himself. Ask yourself this: are you living in a way that she'd regret leaving? Are you growing while she's gone, or grieving what you can't control? Are you building a life so powerful that even if she never comes back, you've still won? You don't lose the woman by letting her go. You lose her when your need for her overshadows your need to be who you were born to become. So let her walk. And while she's walking, keep building the life that will either bring her back better or prepare you for someone who never has to leave to feel your worth. Number 5, stand still when she runs. While she's drifting away, creating distance, not replying as fast or not showing the same warmth, the average man thinks it's a call to action, to fix, to rush, to overcompensate. But it's not. It's a call to pause, to stand still. Because when she runs, she's not looking to be chased. She's looking to see if you stay grounded. Most men break at this point. Their minds spiral. They start reaching out more, filling in the silence with fear. They begin proving themselves again, thinking effort equals worth. But the woman doesn't want proof. She wants presence. And presence can only be felt in stillness, not in performance. When she runs, you're being watched. Watched for your reaction, your consistency, your strength. If your whole energy starts shifting because she's not around, you're not leading, you're following her emotional path. That kills her respect. Because deep inside, she wants to feel that your identity is rooted in something bigger than her approval. The man who stays calm, stays consistent, stays focused when she distances, that man doesn't trigger fear. He triggers curiosity. She starts to wonder why you didn't react, why you didn't chase, why you didn't panic. And that wondering is the seed of renewed attraction. Women don't always know consciously what they're testing, but emotionally, they feel the truth. If your peace collapses the moment her energy changes, you were never peaceful. You were just addicted to her attention. The man who stands still when she runs is rare. Because stillness requires self-trust. It requires a connection to something deeper than affection. Stillness means you don't play emotional ping-pong. You don't follow her inconsistency. You don't mirror her withdrawal. You stay centered. You stay real. And that stability becomes magnetic. How do you master stillness? You focus on discipline. You create daily structure. You get uncomfortable on purpose. You stop living in reaction and start operating on mission. You choose purpose over panic. Every time you feel the urge to respond emotionally to her distance, you redirect. You train, you build, you reflect, you grow. Not for her, but for yourself. The version of you that needs to be validated by her is not the version that will lead. You need to become the man who can walk through silence without fear, who can sit in uncertainty without breaking, who can wait, not passively, but powerfully. Because that stillness is not weakness. It's signal, it's energy. It's the very thing that sets you apart. She's not testing your love. She's testing your emotional leadership. Can you lead when she retreats? Can you hold space when she panics? Can you embody peace when she explodes? That's what her soul is screaming to find. And if you flinch, you fail. If you react, you lose gravity. If you break, she questions everything. So you stand still, you let her run, and you keep walking forward, not toward her, but toward your mission. Because if she's meant for you, she'll find her way back, not to the man who chased her, but to the man who never stopped becoming more. Ask yourself this: who are you when no one's watching? Who are you when the one you care about pulls away? Do you collapse, or do you rise even higher? Stand still, not in arrogance, in assurance, not in silence, in strength. Let her run, and when she looks back, let her see a man unmoved, unbothered, and completely unshakable. Number 6. Become a man she can't shake. While she's testing your presence through silence, distance, hesitation, or emotional inconsistency, what she's doing beneath the surface is measuring whether your identity is firm or fabricated. And the men who fail are always the ones trying to negotiate desire, explain worth, or convince her they're good enough through emotional reaction. But she doesn't feel desire through comfort. She feels it through contrast, through tension, through your ability to remain untouchable when her energy changes. If you want to be the man who sticks in her mind long after you've walked away, stop trying to manage her perception. Start managing your own standard. Every time you feel her pulling back and you go chasing, you've already told her your value depends on her attention. And once she feels that imbalance, once she knows your self-worth evaporates without her validation, she loses the very attraction that made her lean in the first place. A woman doesn't stay because you say all the right things. She stays because you radiate the kind of power that doesn't flinch. She stays because your silence teaches her more than any emotional explanation ever could. When she pulls away and you start asking why instead of rising, you become forgettable. But when you let go without chasing, when you elevate without begging, when you lead yourself instead of following her chaos, you start to become unforgettable. Not because of words, because of energy, because of how deeply rooted your presence becomes. Because she knows that most men crumble when the woman becomes uncertain. But you're not most men. You're a category of your own. She can't shake you because you've made peace with being alone. You've married your mission. You've built your life in such a way that any woman who enters it feels lucky, not entitled. That's the separation. A man she can shake is a man who loses himself when she walks away. But a man she can't shake is the one who becomes more dangerous, more focused, more magnetic in her absence, and she'll feel it, while she's checking if you've posted, while she's wondering why you're not chasing, while her phone stays silent, and she starts questioning if she misread your power. That's when the shift happens. That's when her emotional testing becomes emotional confusion, because you broke the cycle she's used to. She's used to men folding. She's used to men panicking. She's used to men needing her more than they need their own path. But when you show her, without saying a word, that you're built different, she can't ignore it. She feels it in her chest. She feels it in the silence. She feels it in the absence of your need. And in that moment, you go from one of many to the one that never left her head. Not because you tried harder, but because you became more. That's the man she can't shake. The man who walks through heartbreak and still leads. The man who loses her but gains power. The man who uses pain to sharpen his edge instead of soften his standards. So how do you become that man? You discipline your body, you sharpen your mind, you cut every excuse you've used to stay average, you make silence your training ground, you use rejection as fuel, you take her pulling away and turn it into momentum. Every minute you used to waste texting her, invest it into skill. Every ounce of energy you gave to worry, convert it into progress. And while she's wondering why you didn't chase, you'll be too busy building a life she doesn't deserve access to anymore, because you don't prove you're a high-value man by talking about it. You prove it by becoming undeniable, by creating a reality where she has to level up just to stand beside you. That's when you reverse the entire dynamic. That's when she starts questioning her silence. That's when her curiosity turns into obsession. And that's when you no longer need her to choose you, because you've already chosen the best version of yourself. The version no woman can replace, because you weren't shaped by attention. You were forged in solitude. And nothing hits harder than the man who needed no one to become everything. She will ignore you even if she loves you. Not because she wants to hurt you, but because she needs to know that your strength isn't skin deep. Because real love, real trust, real feminine surrender, it doesn't form in comfort, it forms in the fire of emotional uncertainty. You might think she's gone cold, that she's entertaining someone else, that her silence means indifference. But sometimes silence is not abandonment. It's assessment. She's watching, she's weighing, she's wondering, if I stop giving him everything, will he collapse? If I stop showing up like I did in the beginning, will he chase like the rest? Or will he stand tall, unmoved, like the man he said he was? When a woman loves deeply, she wants to give that love somewhere safe. But safety doesn't mean submission. It means leadership. She tests your emotional foundation, not because she doesn't care, but because she wants to confirm it's safe to care even deeper. Her ignoring you might be the last test before full devotion. But if you fold, if you chase, if you beg, if you panic, you've answered her question without her needing to ask it out loud. You've shown her she was the foundation of your worth, not the reward for it. Think about it. If you had a daughter, would you want her to give her heart to a man who can't hold it unless she reassures him daily? No, you'd want her with the man who doesn't shake, who doesn't beg, who doesn't need. That's why she ignores you, to see if you're that man. And if you are, she won't forget. She won't drift. She'll feel your silence echoing with value, and she'll return, not because you pulled her, but because you never pulled away from yourself. That's what makes a man unforgettable. If every word of this felt like it was written for you, it was. Not because we know your face, but because we've walked through your fire. We've stood in that silence. We've stared at the phone. We've questioned our worth when someone we loved went quiet. And we rebuilt from it. Now it's your turn. But don't do it alone. Support this channel, because it's not just a voice, it's a mirror that reflects who you can become. And when you support this message, you're not just investing in content, you're investing in clarity. You're helping the next man out there, alone, confused, spiraling, find a voice that speaks his language. You're expanding a mission that gives men back their strength. So if this changed something in you, like, comment, and subscribe. But more than that, live it. Carry this energy into your gym session, your job, your craft, your discipline. Show the world the man who doesn't flinch. And comment below, I build myself in the silence. Because when others fold in that silence, you rise from it.